wasn't like a scary movie.
Although anytime there's a movie where they go into a small town and everyone's weird, it does scare me because I've spent enough time in small towns in Alberta as a non-white person, and I get scared every time.
Fair.
I've had bad experiences, so when all those people are just watching them go into the grocery store, it still scares me a little.
Just like sitting around watching you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a little unsettling. I thought you meant in the scheme of like a horror movie. Was I scared?
Yeah, weren't you terrified of the green goo?
No.
It's chlorophyll. All right, let's start it up. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of I Love This, You Should Too. My name is Indy Green Goo Randhawa, and with me is my lovely co-host who loves drinking the devil's drink. It's Samantha Randhawa.
That I don't know if the green goo is the devil's drink, is it?
No, the devil's drink was coffee.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was like, I feel like I've heard that referred to for like to alcohol and then like caffeinated beverages.
And this one, I think he tries to order coffee and he says that's the devil's drink.
Yeah. But you know what? This chlorophyll goo does seem pretty demonic.
Well, yeah, it turns you into a troll. Well, not a troll, a goblin.
A tree?
But yeah, a tree. But sometimes it just makes you goo and then your food and then they eat the goo. But then sometimes the goo is what you eat to turn you into a tree. Sometimes it turns you right into a troll.
Yeah.
It's almost
very,
like it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
The scariest thing of all.
I was trying. So for the first like 10 minutes of the movie, I was like, okay, I'm going to like really remember all this stuff.
And then I was like, matter.
Oh my God. It's like none of this makes any sense. There are zero rules in this galaxy. It's like, it's just an hour and a half of nonsense.
Yeah. So you know what? Episode over. That's the review.
The end.
It is. It's an hour and a half of nonsense.
It is. It really is.
But let's go back a little bit. So we are, of course, talking about the 1990 movie Troll 2. I picked this movie for Samantha to watch, and it not in my usual way of like, look at the deeper meanings of this. And this is going to teach you about German Expressionism. This time it was, this is going to teach you about how sometimes it's fun to watch something terrible.
Yeah.
So I know you didn't love this movie, but in that respect, did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed watching it.
It's fun.
It made no sense.
Mm-hmm.
It was a wild ride and it was kind of terrible, but I enjoyed it.
Kind of really terrible.
Yeah, I was trying to be nice.
It is. It's very bad. I must say, though, I didn't love it as much as I remembered. It's been a while since I've seen this one. I always thought of it as one of my top 3 bad movies. And I don't know if it's up there anymore because we've watched
it out of the ranking.
some bad movies.
Okay.
It's not quite a Mac and Me.
No.
Or a Miami Connection or a Samurai Cop. Like, I love those bad movies. This one is up there. And what I think people love about this one is the following it's gotten, and people get into groups and watch this. It's a party movie. They do special screenings of it where you just laugh at how terrible it is.
Gotcha.
And it does have some great terrible lines as well. Before we get into everything, do you have a favorite moment from it?
The sexy lady in the black dress with the kid in the camper who's
the
just like rubbing corn, like a cob of corn all over him.
Yeah.
And then, that
drowns him in popcorn?
Yeah.
I still don't know what there's so many scenes where I can say like, oh, I know all the shots of that scene.
Yeah.
And you go, what happened? Oh, I don't know.
I have no idea what was going on there. But every single time something happened, I was like, well, that's not how that works.
That one is up there. And I also just love maybe the most famous line from it. You can't piss on hospitality. I won't allow it.
Fair. That's a good one.
Well, maybe we should just kind of go through this movie and talk about how silly it was.
Yeah, please.
So it starts off with this kind of fairy tale, I guess, with this sweet 80s music and a chase scene. And that woman has those terrible fake freckles.
Oh, yeah. That was like the most jarring thing right at the beginning of the movie was her freckles.
It lets you know that, this is what you're going to be getting now.
So thick and like badly blended.
And then it turns out it's a grandpa reading a story to his grandson. But then also the grandpa's a ghost and goblins are real.
Yeah.
And that just gets thrown at you right away.
Yeah. They're like, here's a ton of supernatural things that we really should be giving you a minute to like absorb. But no, we're off. We're doing it.
The fact that the grandpa is a ghost is just kind of thrown at you and then you just move on. Mm-hmm. And the mom is just like, remember, just banish him from your mind.
Yeah.
There's this kid who's like clearly going through something.
Yeah.
Even if you don't believe that it's a real ghost, he's going through something. Because he's always talking to his dead grandpa.
Mourning the loss of a family member.
And the mom, who talking about her father, says, banish him from your mind.
It's been 6 months. Get over it. Yeah. Basically. She's like, I was his daughter and I'm over it.
He's been banished from my mind. And then I love when we cut into the sister's room. I also don't know anyone's name in this movie.
No.
It's not like in Troll 1 where they said the name so often. And also the name was...
I don't remember.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter
my God.
Sr. and Harry Potter Jr.
I banished it from my memory, so I couldn't remember.
So if you've never seen Troll 1, the main character is named Harry Potter Jr. Mm-hmm. And they say his full name constantly.
Yeah.
And it's, 25 years before the Harry Potter books came
Which
out.
is so funny. Yeah. And I think I laughed every time they said Harry Potter. Cause...
They never say full names that often in the movie, but that one. It's like they knew that we were onto something with the name Harry Potter.
They're like, there's something here, but we don't know what it is yet. His sister's name is Holly.
Oh, they go into Holly's room, and it's this 80s teen girl room, and there's shots of like Johnny Depp and Tom Cruise and Smurfs. And she's wearing a very 80s kind of leotard thing, and she's just doing bench presses wearing a weight belt.
Yeah.
Not aerobics.
No.
So I don't know. Maybe I like that she's just trying to get jacked.
Yeah, she's like, I'm going to get so fit. And then later in the movie, she also says that she's been fasting for 2 days.
Right.
So she's like really on some sort of fitness journey.
Yeah, just strength training, but fasting while you do it. That's a bad combination. You shouldn't do that.
It seems like it. You need a lot of protein.
So then the boyfriend, Elliot, I did remember his name because they actually say his name a lot.
She does say Elliot a lot.
He comes in and breaks in, first scares the kid, mm-hmm. and then breaks into her room and scares her.
Yeah.
And all she is upset about is like, hey, quit bringing your friends everywhere.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, I won't. And then his friends are at the window too.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, I'm coming on your vacation with you. And she says, okay.
Yeah.
Just don't bring your friends. And of course,
he brings his friends. How did these kids get an RV?
Oh, it doesn't matter. How did that RV get to where it was? How did they know? There's
so many questions.
Just banish those questions from your mind.
Perfect. Noted.
One of my other favorite parts is when they're driving there. The mom says, "Sing that song I like so much."
It's row, like, row your boat.
And it's row your boat. She can't think of the name of that song.
Or the lyrics,
those are all the words.
But then
she knows the words.
Oh yeah,
because she joins in.
Here's a hint. Lots of times, the name of the song is in the lyrics.
What's that song? You know I love it so much. It goes row, row, row your boat. Forget the name of it though. But they're driving and they leave an hour and a half late because they're waiting for the stupid boyfriend, but he never shows up. Instead, he's ahead of them in an RV with his friends, waiting on the side of the road to wave at them.
Yeah, that's weird.
That doesn't make any sense, but again, doesn't matter.
Banish it from your mind.
They get there and they say like, oh, it's so late. Everything's going to be closed at this time of night. And we clearly see that outside of the van, it's noon.
Yeah.
But inside the van, it's midnight?
It's like dusk inside the van. And then they exit the van, and once again, it is noon.
Yeah. And they're not just going on a vacation. They're trading homes with another family.
Yeah. Which is never really brought up. They're just like going on a vacation.
But they also talk about that they're going to go do all sorts of farm work.
Yeah.
And they're going to live like their ancestors did in the 1890s.
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. And like, I didn't know what was going on when they were like exchanging keys. I was like, what's happening? Like, did they just sell their house and move here? Like, I did not know what was going on.
And then the other families, the dicks about it, and they just like run into them and knock them over on their way out.
Yeah.
But they did leave them with a big feast of gross looking food. Lots of just water with food coloring in it.
Yeah,
and
lime green goo.
Oh, I wonder what their green food coloring budget was on this. It must have been
huge. You need so much green food coloring to make that color.
They use a lot of it. So much goo.
So much goo.
So much goo in this movie.
That gave me flashbacks to when I was doing like preschool programming and we did a Inukshuk unit because it was Christmas, and so we were supposed to do like an edible project. So we made Inukshuks with like cookies and candies and green icing because that's the only color the preschool I was at had for food coloring, and I used it all, and then they were mad at me. I was like, I don't know how you wanted me to make green icing without all this green food coloring.
I bet the people were mad at these filmmakers too for using all the green food coloring in the city.
In the entire state.
Yeah. So they sit down to eat this weird food, and then the ghost grandpa, who sometimes can only come through mirrors, sometimes can turn into other people, and then sometimes he just like walks around like a person and he can't go through doors and stuff.
Yeah.
So
come on, Grandpa, get it together.
He says that I can stop time for 30 seconds, only this one time though.
It's the longest 30 seconds of my life.
And you need to figure out a way to make them not eat the food. And he's very casual. He walks around and he comes up with a great idea
of peeing on it.
He just pees on everyone's food.
Yeah.
He just gets up on the table and pees on their food.
Yeah.
And that's where the great line comes from. You can't piss on hospitality. I won't let you.
I think he did.
And that actor, I guess we should stop every now and then to talk about some of the performances.
Yes.
So the dad.
Michael.
What'd you think of that performance?
It was very all over the place.
It was big.
It was huge, and it was very hard to get an idea of who he was as a person. Because sometimes he was like, I'm gonna hit you. And sometimes he was like, well, let's go find some food, son. Like, it was very all over the place. And I had a very hard time trying to figure out like what the dad was to these kids.
I think you could say that about everyone and everything about this movie. There is no consistency.
No.
I did rewatch the documentary Best Worst Movie, which I recommend if you like this movie, watch the documentary. The documentary is fantastic. There is a link to it on YouTube for free in our show notes, so you can go watch it. But I can throw in little things I've learned from the documentary. So that man was a dentist. He's not an actor. This is his only movie. And he said he always wanted to be an actor, but in the sense of, I'm a personality. He's like the most beloved man in this small Alabama town where he's from. Mm-hmm. Everybody knows him. He always stops and chats. He's like he's like a small town mayor. So that's what he brings to acting, is just enthusiasm. He has enthusiasm. Not maybe the most talent for acting, but also like with these lines where your character is all over the place. I don't know how you do that convincingly anyway, but not like this. not
in this mode.
So he's he's something. He's fun to watch though. And then when he throws the kid on the bed, he starts taking off his belt, and you're like, oh, which way is this gonna go? This movie's so weird, it could get into something weird sexually. Yeah. Or I assumed he was going to beat his son with the belt.
I thought so, because the mom yells, don't hit him.
Yeah, right? So that's already a concern.
Yeah, it's already in your brain.
I forgot that the mom yells, don't hit him.
Up the stairs.
Making you think that, like, oftentimes he does, in fact, hit him.
Yes.
But he says, no, I'm tightening my belt to fight off the hunger pains.
That's not how that works.
Yeah, I
you can't
don't
just like
know.
Squish your stomach to make it feel less hungry.
I've never tried it.
I guess I've never tried it, but I assume that it wouldn't work.
I don't think that's a good idea, though.
No. Yeah, he was all over the place. And it felt like 5 different characters in one. Like,
Like sometimes he'll just go sit down on a chair and say, hey, look, a book about vegetables, and fall asleep in 5 seconds.
Yeah. And then other times he's like, I'm going to show you how children should behave. And then other times he's like, oh, my family, I want to be a farmer. Yeah. It's like so all over the place.
And then I think we get to see the friends in their camper van type thing. And one of them just says, hey, a woman. Because they want women.
Yes.
But they think that it's kind of like hunting or gathering berries, that you just kind of like look around and find.
Get some women.
You don't go to a place.
Yeah.
Like maybe someone would think you go to a bar.
Yeah.
Or
is there a local saloon?
Sure. But he just thinks like, I'll just sit inside of this motorhome and wait for a woman. And then one runs by. So he goes, hey, look, a woman, chases her and tackles her.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get women.
Yeah.
And I guess the goblins are chasing her. So we don't get to hear what her story was. It's probably more interesting than this one.
Probably.
And she was one of the better actors in the movie
She
as well.
was. She was less all over the place and really seemed to understand what her character arc was in this movie.
And he just goes like, hey, you trolls that are actually goblins. The word troll is never said in the movie Troll 2.
No.
They're referred to explicitly as goblins. The town they go to is Nilbog, which we discover is goblin backwards. But then when they try to do the reversal thing, they didn't do it right. But
yeah.
That's another.
Anyway.
So he says, hey, get out of here. He sees, 10 goblins and just says, hey, beat it.
Yeah.
And then they stab him.
Yeah.
Because they don't listen.
Because they're goblins and they will not be reasoned with.
They won't.
No.
They will not be reasoned with.
Can't reason with goblins.
And we get introduced to, let's call her the Goblin Queen?
Yes.
This lady is my favorite character in the movie. My favorite performance.
Credence?
Oh yeah, what's her full name? It's something wild.
Hang on. Credence Lenore Gaygund.
Yep, that's it.
It's spelled Gielgud.
Gilgood?
Gilgund?
But anyways, she's great. For the longest time, I thought she was like a 17 or 18-year-old, like a high school theater kid who gets cast in this. So she puts on this giant performance.
Oh my God, the eye work that she does is like unmatched.
So you could tell that she acted. And she's just going as big as she can for this movie that I think definitely calls for it. She's leaning in.
Yeah.
And I loved what she was doing. Was it a great performance? No, but it was the right choice for a movie this bad. And she gave, I think, the best performance probably in the movie. Yeah,
I think she had a moment to think about her character. And she was like, this is like what she does.
She made choices.
Yeah, she made choices and she stuck to them because she was consistent throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I thought she was much younger, but it turns out she was like 40 when this was made. So good for you. She looked great. I thought she was a teenager trying to act older with just putting gray in her hair. And when she was the old version of her, she had braces on. Yeah. But then when she gets younger and is like the sexy version, she doesn't have braces anymore.
I don't know if they were actually braces.
At first I thought, oh, they're making her teeth bad. And then I looked, I was like, oh, she clearly has braces, but maybe not. I don't know. Either way, it was something. She was really hamming it up and I loved it.
Yeah. She really went for it. And I appreciate that for sure.
Oh, yeah. And then that girl that was running around in the woods gets eaten up because she gets turned into goo right away, I think.
Yes.
And they can see through the floor so they can watch what's happening to her. But of course, you wouldn't be able to see it. And then I think the guy's name is Arnold says, they're eating her and then they're going to eat me. Oh, my God. And he just holds it for so long. And that was great.
It was, it was quite the delivery of that.
And then he gets turned into a plant.
Yes, like part tree.
Yeah. And from the documentary, I learned that he was wearing his own clothes, like that he paid for, and they nailed his shoes to the ground in the pot so he couldn't move. And he would be standing there for 16 hours at a time. And then when he started to complain, the director, as a point of pride, said like, oh, and then these actors, they start complaining. So I glued stuff over his mouth so I wouldn't have to listen to him.
What?
So he just made a teenager just stand there for days at a time.
I feel like modern union rules would not allow for that.
So the director and writer of this, I think they're a couple, and they are Italian. And at the time of filming, did not have much grasp of the English language. So it's almost worse to know that, because then when you're trying to figure out, like, wait, what does this mean and how does this work? And now we can just be like, oh, it was all just nonsense. So it's less fun to figure out what they meant because it's just poorly translated.
Yeah.
And oftentimes the actors, like the daughter, would say, well, this doesn't really make sense. I would say it more like this. And the director, this Italian man who I think was in his first time in the United States and was just learning English, said, that is not American. This is how Americans talk. And would tell all the Americans how Americans talk. And things like, hey, watch it. Are you trying to make me a homo?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
When he gets hit and says, are you trying to turn me into a homo?
Yeah.
Something like that. And then she responds with, like, oh, it wouldn't be hard. I'm going to get these little scissors and my dad's going to eat up your tiny little nuts or something like that. She also was all over the place.
Yes. Yeah. She really was.
And then we get a great shot of her just dancing in a mirror.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. And just, I feel like that's a very teenage girl thing to do, though.
Yes, but usually you wouldn't show the whole thing in a movie.
Yes, you wouldn't have a full 2 minutes of her dancing.
But this movie also shows like the drive there in almost real time.
Yeah.
And someone just jogging for a long time. Cars
that was a
pulling
long
up
time
to
of jogging.
Things. They were really trying to stretch it. There was not much content here. But I did love that her shirt was a Garfield Aries shirt.
Yeah.
Which I remember one of my sisters having one of those. They were Garfield like horoscope.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
I want that Garfield Aries shirt. That was pretty cool.
Remember when they go to the like general store to get food, and I think this is the jogging teen. He gets there and he's like, do you have any bacon? He goes, we're vegetarians here. He goes, how about eggs? And he goes, eggs? Eh. He just yells.
Just grunts.
And then gives him free milk instead. That actor was on a day pass from a mental institution.
Oh.
Literally.
Wow. That's scary.
He's interviewed in the documentary and he talks about how one day he was deciding like how to cook his eggs and he just couldn't decide and went mad.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a sad story, but then he goes and does conventions and stuff for Troll 2, so I guess he's, it worked out for him.
Yeah, he got the help he needed?
Yes.
Wow.
He also said that he really got into it. So when he was in the movie, he really wanted to kill that child.
Oh.
He said, when I was feeding him, I just wanted to feed him and kill him. I want to kill that boy so much. And it's wow, you shouldn't have been on the set with him.
No, there's so many children on that set too. That's terrifying.
I'm not even trying to follow the plot anymore. But then there was the vegetarian church service.
Yes,
where they tried to make him eat ice cream.
Yeah.
And he has that skateboard just as a prop for those few scenes. So you're like, okay, what's going to happen to the skateboard?
Something like the skateboard is important, but he clearly doesn't know how to ride it. So he's just carrying it awkwardly.
And the writer said that she wrote the trolls as vegetarians because a lot of her friends were becoming vegetarians and she found it very annoying.
What?
She was like, oh, these vegetarians were always talking about it, so I showed them how bad they are.
Oh my God. Could you imagine calling all of your friends goblins?
Yeah, that'd be great.
No, I just mean like all of your friends who are becoming vegetarians are like, you know what? I think vegetarianism makes you a goblin.
But then she also said that this is a ferocious criticism of today's society. They thought that this movie is really something important. So a brief run through of the best worst movie documentary. It's directed by the boy. He's kind of he's the director, but he actually isn't in the movie all that much, but he's assembled all of this. It follows mostly the dad, and it talks to most of the principal cast about how they first saw it, because most of them didn't see it until many years after.
Oh.
Because it wasn't big. And they've all gone on to do other things, like the guy's a dentist, some of them act, some of them are musicians or authors or whatever, all sorts of things. And then they start coming together once this movie gets really popular much, much later, when people are watching it and laughing at it, having these midnight screenings where you show it and you laugh at it and having parties for it. So it starts getting big then. And then some of them, that's when they see it for this first time. But most of them, that's when they actually like start celebrating it.
Right.
And they have they're good sports about it. Like the dentist guy knows that he's like the butt of the joke, but he's also like, it was fun and I'm bringing fun to these people.
Yeah.
I'm not a real actor, and he's having fun with it. And same with the director, the boy. But then when they get to the director of Troll 2 and the writer, who I think are a couple, it seems that way. They've made like 30 movies together.
Oh.
And they talk about it as something very, very serious. So when he hears that the movie is becoming successful now, he doesn't know that it's being laughed at.
Oh.
And then when he gets to the things and people say, why do you call this movie Troll 2 when there are no trolls in it? He just like will yell at the audience and be like, you clearly don't understand. Don't ask me these stupid questions just because you can't understand this.
Oh my
God. So he always defaults into like, people just don't get it.
Right.
You're all too stupid.
Oh my God.
So then in a lot of these conventions, the actors would tell their stories of like, well, yeah, we didn't really have a script for these parts. I didn't know what the movie was going to be. He'd be in the like audience section just being like, you're lying. He takes it very seriously.
Okay.
And would accuse all of the actors of lying when they said anything bad about how the movie was made. But like, we've all seen the movie. We know it's a shitty movie.
No one knows. They are husband and wife.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And he said that this movie is about the most important things in the world, like living and eating and dying and the family unit. So he thinks that it's all great. And he also referred to the actors as dogs. He's like, these dog actors don't understand what I'm doing.
Oh,
and
wow.
he just said he was just too real. He was too ahead of things that people didn't get.
Nobody gets me.
Yeah, he was one of those.
Oh, no.
So some of the actors couldn't get work after this because of this movie. They'd be like, "Oh, you were in that? Yeah, we're not casting you." I think the daughter was one of those. But one thing, I don't think I ever saw the Goblin Queen lady.
No?
She was the only one that I think was not in it. And they also never talked about her scenes when they were talking about like the big famous scenes. You'd think the popcorn scene would come up, or like her performance, because I think it was the most remarkable performance of all. But I did not see her in that.
When was the thing made, the documentary?
2009.
Oh, okay. She was still alive.
And they even go to the mother, the actor who plays her, and it's like quite sad what's become of her life. I don't want to say like, oh, this person's life is sad. Like maybe she's having a great time, but she won't leave her apartment. So they can't get her to do any of the things because she's like, no, I won't go. I won't leave. And she has this sign in front of it that's saying like, anyone who rings this doorbell will be prosecuted and all sorts of stuff like that. She's a straight up shut-in now.
Wow.
And so that they would include that, but not include anything about the Goblin Queen seems odd. So I'd be curious to know what happened to her.
Yeah. The only thing I can see is that she passed away in 2023.
Maybe she was in it and I just didn't even recognize her or something. But they didn't make a point of...
You'd think that they would, because she was like a main character.
Yeah.
There's only like 10 people in this movie, so you'd think that it would be obvious.
All right, back to this. Holly knows exactly where the motorhome is in the woods and just goes up to it and punches her boyfriend out. That was kind of fun.
I thought that Holly and her boyfriend, it was a very strange relationship and they didn't really seem to like each other. It was odd.
No, because the boyfriend gets many seemingly a lot of invitations to have sex, and all he has to do is show up and not bring his friends, and he can't do it.
Yeah.
He always has to bring his friends. And then she oscillates between beating him up and loving him.
Right.
He just needs to leave his friends alone.
Yeah. He just likes his friends. His
More
friends,
than her.
Yeah. His friends were Arnold, Drew, and Brent.
Oh, I remember Arnold. They say Arnold.
Yes, they do. Arnold and Elliot are the only two that like actually like make it into your brain.
Yeah. And Grandpa Seth.
Grandpa's sad.
So at this point, they haven't eaten in days, it seems like. And then everyone breaks into their house and is throwing them a party with gross green food.
Mm-hmm. No one also seems too worried that they haven't eaten anything in days.
No, they mention it every now and then.
But they're not
but
like,
it's not a big
oh
deal.
Man, I'm starving. Like, you'd think that if you went on a road trip and then didn't eat for another 24 hours, you'd be like, no, step one, let's find some food.
Yeah.
Let's like fill the fridge. Let's get some groceries. Like, let's do something. They're all like, yeah, let's just like wander around town and like hang out and sit around.
Go get some of that lukewarm milk.
Yeah, no one seems worried about the lack of food and the like no food incoming ever. It's not like they're waiting on a delivery.
Well, maybe they thought they had to farm all the food.
That's you should bring some food with you then.
You should bring some food with you. So then at some point, a goblin jumps out of the mirror. So the mirror is also a portal sometimes.
Yeah.
So through the mirror, you can go to hell, you can go to the ghost world, and you can also go to the Goblin Queen's house in a church.
It's a three-way portal.
Yeah. So a goblin jumps out of it, and that goblin is the Goblin Queen in goblin form. Because then Grandpa Seth chops her hand off with an axe, and then she goes back and grows it back.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Seth has a Molotov cocktail.
He's like, here, kid, have this thing. Just light it on fire, okay?
And the family is just watching as all of these people clap and chant that song that's not words.
Yeah, and it's like a 45-minute long song.
And they're just sitting in chairs as everyone claps and chants at them. And this goes on for a very long time. And we also hear that the grandpa was in hell.
Yeah.
So he must have done some bad stuff.
Yeah.
What do you think he did?
It's like the 90s. Maybe he's like a war criminal.
Yeah, maybe he burned some women and children in Nam.
Yeah.
Probably did.
I was going to say, I feel like what were the grandparents in the 90s doing? Yeah.
They're doing all sorts of bad stuff.
Grandpa Seth, war criminal.
Yeah, I think he was probably a war criminal.
I think that's why you have to put Grandpa Seth out of your mind.
Yeah, you have to banish him from your mind.
I think the daughter knows what he did and is
that's why he was in hell, and that's why she wants... Yeah.
She's like, let's not talk about him anymore. He's finally out of our lives.
That's true. And the mirror does only go to bad places.
Yeah.
And Grandpa Seth's coming through there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
The daughter's just like, I don't want to tell my 10-year-old son why his grandpa, who he loved, is a terrible human.
Yeah.
And why I don't want us to have any other thoughts or feelings about him.
I just want him banished from his mind, you know?
Yeah, I just I don't want to deal with this anymore.
And then is it the kid or is it the ghost of the war criminal that sets that man on fire?
It's the ghost of the war criminal.
Okay.
Is it? No, it's the guy who comes outside, the man who gets set on fire.
Yeah.
He's holding the Molotov cocktail and then I think he drops it.
Or sometimes he sends lightning bolts to things.
Oh, maybe he did that. I don't know.
It doesn't make sense.
You know what I did? I put it out of my mind.
I just banished it. You know what I didn't banish from my mind is that popcorn sex scene.
Oh my God.
So then she grows her hand back and then pretties herself up. She just combs her hair, really, and brushes her teeth.
Yeah.
And washes her face. She just washes up.
Yeah.
And then she's gorgeous.
Yeah. She's like, ooh, so sexy.
And uses corn as her to entice young men.
Yeah.
Also, that guy, he's supposed to be 15 or something,
Yeah.
and she's 40? That's weird.
Corn, the sexiest of foods.
What is the sexiest of foods?
Oh, I don't know.
If it's anything, maybe chocolate.
Yeah.
But if it's fruits and vegetables, strawberry?
Ice cream?
Well, that's not a fruit or a vegetable.
Oh, right. Sorry. I was still thinking of sexy foods.
I know you do consider ice cream as a vegetable when you...
I don't think anything that you have to hold to your face and gnaw on is a sexy food.
And that you can't eat raw.
Yeah.
I guess you can eat corn raw. You shouldn't, though.
And that was the other thing. I was like, was this recently cooked? Are they just gnawing on a piece of corn right off the field?
So what happens in this scene?
I don't know. She shows him her thigh. He's like, oh, thigh.
Yeah.
Like 3 times in this scene. And then she's like waving the corn cob around like it's a magical wand. And then she also has like a corn stowage little like hook on her dress.
Oh, yeah. A corn holster.
Yeah, a corn holster. And
do your pants not have corn holsters?
No.
Oh, maybe it's like how women's clothes don't have pockets.
Yeah,
as
like
often.
our pockets aren't deep enough for anything.
Yeah, you usually don't have a corn holster. All of my clothes have corn holsters.
Oh, wow. I'm so jealous now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she's like, oh, yeah, let's like get it on. And she's kind of dancing for him. And then she's like, let's make popcorn, puts the corn in his mouth. And then they both gnaw it from either side, to which I said, that's not how you make popcorn.
But in fact, it was.
It somehow makes popcorn. Yeah.
And then he drowns in popcorn?
I think so. I think the trailer fills up with popcorn and he dies.
Yeah. Why would... Okay.
It's never like completely obvious that he is dead.
No, but nor is it for anyone. Usually they turn into plants, or I don't know. Sometimes it is.
Also, these 3 friends that Elliot left in the trailer, nobody cares that they haven't seen them for like hours.
No. Well, the one friend disappeared right at the first day, and
it's like a full 24 hours that we're watching these people in this trailer, and nobody cares that this kid hasn't come back, and then that the kid never came back with the food.
Yeah.
And then Elliot is like off fighting goblins. So it's fair. He's preoccupied, but like nobody cares about these 3.
For someone who won't go anywhere without his friends, he really doesn't care when they go missing.
He's like, friends? What friends?
So now people are willing to believe the boy about his dead war criminal grandfather. And they say, oh, we have to have a seance now because sure, why not?
Yeah.
And then sometimes they just get transported to the Goblin Queen's house.
Yeah, that seems to be like a big portal for this town.
Or maybe they just stumble upon it, but they go there and Grandpa Seth punches some trolls out and says, oh, use this only when you need to, but don't look at what it is.
Right.
And was that the bologna sandwich?
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. That's really good, actually. I don't think it was meant to be that funny.
But it was pretty funny.
But to say, like, use this only when you really need it, and you think it's going to be some, like, magical talisman or something like that, and it's a bologna sandwich.
So is bologna... Sorry, I've never had bologna. But, like, is bologna... It's sliced like regular deli meat, right?
Yeah.
When you get it?
Sure.
I know it's one of the ones that you'd get in the, like, round package that is, like...
Yeah, I think usually when you get it, it's thinner slices of, like, sandwich meat.
Okay.
And it's a processed one. I think it's been... I'm also not a bologna eater. That doesn't surprise you.
No. But it, like, always looked like one that was very processed and kind of, like, fake looking.
It's big hot dog.
Oh, okay.
It's essentially hot dog slices.
That makes more sense. So it looks like this double-decker bologna sandwich is
it's like 3 inches thick.
It's like 2 packs of sandwich meat.
Yeah, because it's like thick sliced.
And they didn't even separate it. It's just like there's a big slab of bologna.
It's 2 bologna steaks.
Yeah.
Put into between bread, and that's the bologna sandwich.
It also looks too big for that kid's mouth.
Yeah, but that is the secret, and it works because they don't eat meat except for people, but not people as meat, only if people are plants, except for sometimes when they turn into goo.
So was the writer scared that her friends were going to eat her?
I think she just thought that they were being pretentious or thinking that they were special, and she wanted to be like, you're not special, you're some fucking trolls or goblins.
Or did she want to eat her friends and she's like, well, without like meat protein in their body, they won't be as tasty. Is she a cannibal?
I think she's saying you think you're better because you don't eat animals, but you are pretty much eating people.
Yeah.
But I have nothing to back that up.
Yeah, that's weird. Okay. Anyway, back to war criminal grandpa.
So he eats the bologna sandwich and then nobody wants to eat him because bologna's gross.
Yeah.
And then there's also a stone from Stonehenge there.
Yes.
Because she's from Stonehenge.
Her family is from Stonehenge.
Which is not like, it's not a town, right?
It's
That's
like,
just what
that was just the
landmark.
monument. Yeah.
There's no Stonehenge city.
It's the Stonehenge magic stone, Indy.
Right. So she has it there in wherever they are, Alabama
also,
or
like,
something.
how did they take a piece of Stonehenge? How did she transport it across the world?
Hey, just banish that thought from your mind.
Okay, got it.
But all you have to do is touch the stone and then concentrate. Concentrate on what? I don't know.
They yell concentrate. He yells like 17 times in this 10-minute sequence. I'm like, give them an idea of what they're supposed to be concentrating on.
And it works, though. You just have to concentrate.
Just concentrate. I require something to concentrate on.
No, just concentrate.
I can't.
Eat bologna and concentrate, and then you can do anything.
Yeah.
As long as you have a magic stone.
He also throws the sandwich down, and I'm like, he should have had his entire family take a bite of that.
Yeah, they'd probably be so hungry, too.
Yeah. Nobody's eaten in like 48 hours in this movie.
Especially the daughter. She was fasting for 2 days before.
So she's probably like 5 days away from food.
Yeah.
That's
and she's been like
fighting goblins
and doing a lot of bench presses.
Yeah, so she could use protein out of anybody.
Yeah. And then it just like wraps up real quick and they're like, okay, the end, let's all leave. And they go home and then trolls eat the mom.
Yeah.
So wait, what?
So this kid is like an orphan now.
Was the dad still alive?
Oh, the dad went out to get groceries.
Oh yeah, they all get home. And nobody is like, okay, let's all
unpack the car,
go to the police or go eat something. They all go do their own things.
Yeah. They're like, great vacation. Bye.
And the mom gets eaten by trolls.
In the shower. Yeah.
And I guess the kid does too, presumably next.
I assume so, because Grandpa Seth's gone.
Well, if he finds some bologna around, then he could be okay.
Fight the goblins.
Yeah.
I love that bologna is the foil.
Or any meat, I guess.
Yeah.
You just be gnawing on a big turkey drumstick and you can fight all the goblins.
A little beef jerky in your pocket.
That's all. Yeah. So that's the secret. If you're ever fighting goblins / trolls, carry beef jerky.
Yeah. What an incredibly strange movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why it's so much fun.
Yeah.
The end.
And now I'm going to banish it from my memory. And you should too.
That's probably... That's our spin-off podcast. Yeah. I banished this from my memory, and you should too.
Yeah.
Well, are there any things that will not be banished from your memory on this one?
No, I don't think so. This was baffling, and I had so many questions while we were watching it, and I was just like, no, don't worry about it. It's kind of what I had to tell myself repeatedly. And then, I don't know, I just, like, there wasn't anything that was, like, super standout about this movie.
Or whenever I would either try to write a note or remember something or question something, there would be something so much crazier that would happen right away. So you're just off. Like, oh yeah, I don't have to worry about that because now I got this crazy thing.
I took 2 notes at the beginning of this movie, and then everything started to happen so quickly. I was like, I can't take notes. Like, I wrote the title, and then I wrote like family, and I think I said their last name was Waits. And
oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and then Grandpa Seth. And then that was it, because it was just so fast and constant that weird shit was happening that I was like, I give up. Give up. And I need to just absorb what's going on. Yeah. What about you?
I think the things we talked about, I'm always going to remember the bologna sandwich, the popcorn, and the peeing on dinner. And you kind of just get past the like, wait, what are the rules? Because that doesn't matter.
No, and that was something that I was getting hooked on or getting like stuck on at the beginning.
Because in normal movies, that would matter.
I'm like, I need to know, okay, Grandpa Seth is dead, but he can come back. And then I was like, never mind.
And sometimes you can just walk around in the world and interact with things.
Sometimes he comes through a mirror. Sometimes he's like around and
doesn't
can hold
matter.
Things. Yeah. I don't know.
It's like the later Avengers movies. You set up all these rules only to break them constantly.
No rules.
Well, that's it for us on this one of the best, worst movies around. We never plug our social media stuff. We should do that again. hey, go follow us.
Go follow us. Our Instagram is ILTYS and the number 2. We're on Facebook at I Love This You Should _podcast. And our email is I Love This You Should and the number 2 at gmail.com.
And we stopped using Twitter because...
gross.
Yeah. So I think we're on Threads, but I can't really figure it out. It seems dumb.
I think we just auto-post to Threads.
I started doing it separately now.
Oh, did you?
But
okay.
I don't think I like it, and I don't think I'll continue.
I don't know.
So just message us somewhere.
Yes.
We always like to know when people are listening, because honestly, there's so few of you.
And we love each and every one of you. So we will see you next week when we launch into... the holidays.
No.
Oh, no. Never mind. Sorry.
Soon. Next week, we are going to do another great bad movie. So here's the question. What was more fun to watch? Mac and Me or Troll 2?
Mac and Me.
Okay. I agree. I like Mac and Me more. So go watch Mac and Me, which is another so bad it's good movie, but it's much more sensical, but also terrible.
Also terrible.
But it's terrible in a way that's more easy to grasp, maybe?
Yeah. And it's a little less wacky.
But
it's still very wacky.
Compared to this, it is much less.
But it's not an hour and a half of insanity.
Yeah, it's just a lot of insanity coding a regular movie.
Yes. There
is recognizable elements of normal
filmmaking
movies in that movie.
Yeah.
The filmmaking itself is competent.
Yeah.
And the script is by someone who you can tell speaks and writes in English.
Yes.
So that part is easier, but it makes some crazy choices, and it's all a lot of fun. So we covered that a couple years ago, so we'll be putting that episode out next week. So go watch Mac and Me and listen to that. And then, Samantha...
it is Christmas. We are starting Christmas a little bit early because of the way that the Mondays fall in December. We just thought it would be easier to get everything out before Christmas. And then we will have a year in review the week after.
All right. And Christmas already. That seems wild.
Let's go.
In a couple weeks. All right. See you, everybody.
Bye.